Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Meor bin ARIFF ZAINI, final year student of Biodiversity Management, Faculty of Applied Science, Mahara Teknologi Universiti, Pahang branch, campus Jengka. So today I will be presenting my thesis, which is with the title of the effects of climate change on the Chelonia mydas. So a little bit introduction about my thesis is climate change is basically caused by a variety of factors. So the most key component through this climate change problem to happen is the anthropogenic activities, which is the human activities. So the green sea turtles are an essential part of the marine food chain, and they are help to keep the waters healthy, which is the reason behind why I choose these creatures as my subject in this thesis. So the problem statement of my thesis is green sea turtles are the most extensively exploited by human for human use, with the hunt of the egg, shells, and their other body parts. So these creatures has been listed as endangered species by the IUCN. So due to the anthropogenic activity that contribute to the climate change problem, it will rapidly climate change will happen, and the green sea turtles may not able to adapt. So the reason behind why I choose this turtle as my subject, because of they are a good indication of climate change and its will effects on the habitats along the coast and in the ocean. So the significance of study of this thesis is on how to is on the discuss the phenomenon of climate change and present the reality of the current climate change, and also on how green sea turtles could be benefits to the marine ecosystem if the climate change could be preserved in one day. So the objective is to explain the current situation of climate change, to evaluate the sex ratio of green sea turtles, to prevent them from the extinct, to discuss the development of habitat and dispersal of green sea turtles, and last but not least, to educate people about the benefits of green sea turtles. Alright, for the research question, these are the 6 research questions that have been listed, and further discussion will be answered these questions. Alright, in order to prevent the extinction of green sea turtles, the researchers that have been conducted 2 scenarios by placing an emission of carbon dioxide. Based on their initial hypothesis, it stated that green sea turtles species that had not evolved or adapted to the climate change could not maintain their population levels. This can be seen in the figure 2.1 and figure 2.2, which for both the moderate and high carbon dioxide emission scenarios, the population number substantially declined during the subsequent centuries, with the high carbon dioxide emission scenario experiencing the largest reduction. Meanwhile, under the low, moderate, and high scenarios, virtually all population of green sea turtles went to extinct. So, based on the figure 2.1, it shows that the declining of the green sea turtles population size throughout the years to the 2,500. But meanwhile, for the figure 2.3, it shows that the population of green sea turtle by 2,500. So based on the figure, it shows that throughout the years, the population of the green sea turtle might be declining if the carbon dioxide emission scenario will be further throughout the year. So in this figure 2.4, the best method or the most effective strategy to maintain their population is by development of the nest depth. So based on this figure, we can assume that the carbon dioxide emissions will stay in the low to moderate range, are the best option for the green sea turtles population may be able to adapt to the climate change. For the habitat and dispersal, we know that climate change contribute to many other effects. As we can see in this section, which is the rising sea levels, one of it. So, rising sea levels that brought on the bipolar ice melting are already exacerbating the loss of beaches and their habitat for nesting. And moreover, more frequent and severe storms linked to climate change also cause beach erosion and ended or flood green sea turtle eggs. And besides that, there are food supplies that are also affected by the increase in sea level. So then the distribution and type of microalgae species present in the coastal environment are varied as a result of its occurrence. So then, green sea turtle known as the herbivorous turtles because of it also it consume mostly seagrasses. So if seagrasses could eventually become harmed by the increased salinity, temperature, and other stresses, it also would change their physiology, growth pattern, and distribution. So this can be proved by an observation that have been found on the Bioko Island. It is as the sea level rise, more erosion and floodedness happen. So then the sea level rises also beaches are particularly vulnerable to an increase of flooding due to rising water tables from both landward and seaward sides. So these are the benefits of the Chelonia mydas that contribute to the marine ecosystem by maintaining the habitat, nutrient cycle of marine ecosystem, and maintaining a balanced food web. The way it maintains the habitat is by maintaining the health of seagrass blade, which the green sea turtles will graze on the seagrass blade with only a few centimeters above the bottom, leaving all the higher blades to drift away. This will cause a 15-fold decrease in nitrogen supply to seagrass roots, which has influence on plant species, nutrient cycling, animal numbers, and predator-prey relationship. It also will reduce the self-shedding, temperature, sulfite levels, hypoxia, and slime mold infection, which all of this will harm the seagrass meadow health. Besides that, the nutrient cycle of marine ecosystem also one of the benefits that ecosystem contribute. So the vegetation, species distribution, and stability of sandy shorelines are all influenced by the sea turtle eggs, including the green sea turtles, both directly and indirectly way. The way it benefiting is by enhancing the nesting beaches by providing a concentrated source of high quality of nutrients by from the unhatched green sea turtle eggs, which that offer a portion of the limited nutrients in the habitat such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And besides that, many predators also will feed on their eggs, which then use their feces to disperse nutrients among dunes, which basically also could reduce the number of hatched eggs in the future. Lastly, to maintain a balanced food web, we know that the relationship prey-predator between green sea turtles and the jellyfish are the relationship that very uh, especially important to balancing the food web. So then, if population of green sea turtle decrease, it might have repercussion for the jellyfish population control. So then, uh, green sea turtles, being one of the few obligatory jellyfish feeders, are likely to play this role in averting such shift. Besides that, green sea turtle also will provide food for the other marine organisms like fish by carrying the amphibians, which are organisms that live on the other organisms like barnacles and algae. So then, if these green sea turtles become extinct, the certain organisms that rely on them will lose their food sources and indirectly force them to find the other sources. And the worst case scenario is they also will be extinct. Last but not least, to constructing a hatchery. We should know that the hatchery should not be seen as the primary technique of the sea turtle conservation. It should be only used as a last resort to preserve green sea turtles from threats such as predator poachers and climate change. Alright, as a conclusion, climate change is a major factor in the current population reduction of green sea turtles. The unexpected appearance of climate change or the rapid pace of climate change also make it harder for this creature to adapt well in this current situation, which will be affect the sex ratio will be skewed, which basically depends largely on the temperature, and might also affect the migration of green sea turtles by altering currents and the distribution and the abundance of their prey. For the future research, I would like to suggest more research from the Malaysian researchers, because of most of the study material from Malaysian researchers are all about the leatherback and loggerhead sea turtles, even though the population of green sea turtles on Malaysian beaches is relatively abundant, specifically in Terengganu beaches. So besides that, I would also like to suggest that the data collection from Southeast Asian country. Basically, these data are rarely found research material on this species in the Southeast Asian nation. With this species abundance data, we can easily determine the health of Southeast Asian marine ecosystem. So that's all from my presentation. Thank you.